And joining me now is one of the Republican candidates who will definitely be on that debate stage in Milwaukee on Wednesday night. It's North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum. Governor Burgum, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Chuck, great to be with you, and thanks for having us on this morning.
You got it. Since you and I last spoke about a month ago, a couple more indictments have come down on the former president. And I know you want to get to other topics, but I'm curious on the former president. Do you think he did try to overturn the election results in 2020? That he made a concerted effort to do that?
Well, Chuck, this is one of these things. I think there's an entire cable news industry. There's an entire social media industry built around trying to answer that question. And where we're coming from, we're excited to be on the debate stage, the least known candidate on there. If you want to fill this gap where you mentioned 83% of Americans don't trust our institutions, the way that starts is leadership at the top. Any organization I've been involved with, it starts with a leader that you can trust, that's got the character and the integrity, the proven track record of being able to do that. And that's what I've done my whole life in every organization I've been, but people don't know that yet. So we absolutely are going to leave that to this whole industry. We've got to focus on telling our story and telling the story of what we've been able to get done in North Dakota.
You know, you are running for president. You don't think people need to know where you stand on these issues? You're asking to be the next guardrail of the American democracy. At the end of the day, this is the biggest stress test our country's faced in over 100 years.
Yes, and I think part of a stress test, whether it's for Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, everybody's innocent until they're proven guilty in this country, and lots of accusations that are being tossed around. But I think that if we're focused on January is when the first caucuses and primary are. That's when the voters get to decide. I do trust the voters. I trust that if we can show that we're a credible alternative, that we can deliver the things that Americans are looking for, because Americans do want this country to move forward. They want presidential elections to be about the future, a vision for the future. Then we have to offer that. If I'm just one more pundit, criticizing everything that's gone on in 2020, no one's going to see that there's leadership there. So again, presidential campaigns, are about the future, and we're going to paint that picture of how we can improve the economy, energy, and national security, how that's going to improve every American life, how it's going to bring out the best of America. This country's got to move forward, not backwards.
If Donald Trump is convicted of a crime and you're president and you had the ability to keep him out of prison, would you pardon him?
Well, I've been asked this question a bunch, and of course, as sitting governor, I have to almost smile, because as governors, we've got some limited pardonability for people in our own states. But if somebody came up and said, hey, this person's been accused, there hasn't been evidence, there hasn't been one day of a trial, in 2025, would you pardon them? Those kind of hypothetical questions, any governor that understands his role would never speculate on that, because it hasn't played out. It's like trying to jump ahead of the entire court system. And I respect the judicial branch has got their job. In the executive branch, one thing I know about the executive branch is we work for everybody. When there's a blizzard in North Dakota, we're plowing the roads for Republicans, Independents, Democrats, for everybody. That's the job of the executive branch. That's the job I'm running for.
I want to play something that one of your primary rivals, Governor Ron DeSantis, said about the Maga movement. Take a listen.
A movement can't be about the personality of one individual. The movement has got to be about what are you trying to achieve on behalf of the American people, and that's got to be based in principle. Because if you're not rooted in principle, if all we are is listless vessels that's just supposed to follow, whatever happens to come down the pike on Truth Social every morning, that's not going to be a durable movement.
Do you share his frustration?
I don't. Our poll numbers are going up, not down. As people get to know us, they understand we've got a great message, again, about how we can, tackle inflation that's choking every American family, how we can start selling energy to our friends and allies, stop buying it from our adversaries, and how we can win the Cold War with China. These are the important topics the president has to focus on. And when we're talking to people, we're excited. As our name recognition goes up, our poll numbers are going up. And so we're very positive, and we're absolutely working to create an alternative, an option for American voters to understand who can lead this country forward.
It's been interesting to me in a couple of interviews, plus in the one we've just had now. You've been quite comfortable bringing up Hunter Biden on Joe Biden. But it's remarkable to me how uncomfortable you, and you're not alone here, you are bringing up the legal problems and the charges against Donald Trump. And I get it. It's fear of alienating a majority of where the party is. But it's sort of odd. Wouldn't somebody being charged with 91 criminal counts be somebody that you'd want to see drop out of the race? I mean, should they even be running for office?
Well, again, Chuck, this is the voters get to decide who runs for office in America, and whether it's a local election or whether it's a state or federal. The voters are the ones that ultimately get to decide. And again, if we're going to live in a democracy, at some point we've got to trust the voters.
I hear you on that, but it is interesting that you don't want to share your opinion on this. I think some voters will be frustrated by that.
Well, Chuck, again, everybody's at a different place. If I had 100% national name recognition, if I'd run for president before, if I was living in a major media market and everybody in the country knew me, that'd be a different spot. But when I know from the private sector, when we were launching our little company that we then built over a period of time into a billion-dollar company, you don't start out by attacking the market share leader. You start by telling people what you've got to offer. You don't have a basis to launch that. And like I said, there'll be segment after segment on every channel this morning, all the pundits lined up. And I'm not running for pundit, I'm running for president.
Let me ask you this. Do you feel as if you should be adding your voice to defending citizens who essentially are part of the law enforcement community, whether it's a threat against a federal judge that we heard from a woman in Texas, or the doxing of members of the Georgia grand jury? I mean, this is stuff that is trying to essentially shake the foundations of our legal system. Do you think you should be adding your name to denouncing those efforts?
Well, I think one thing we're adding our name to the list, a very small list of people in our giant country of people that are running for president. Because one thing I know is that if we're going to move back and move away from name calling and threats and all those things, that's not leadership. Leadership is about solving problems. Leadership is about character and integrity. Leadership is about bringing out the best of people, and it's about respect for others that have views different than you. That's why we're running. And absolutely, when I'm president, we're going to lead with respecting everybody. We work for everybody. That's what we'll do. Again, right now, our job is to, not to be it's not the critic that counts. Theodore Roosevelt said it's the man in the arena. We're in the arena right now, and we're working hard to get to that spot.
All right, tell me what success is for you then after this debate on Wednesday night. How will you know it worked?
Well, it will work if we get a chance to explain who we are, what we're about, and why we're running. And we're running to improve every American life. We're running to bring out the best of America, and we're going to do that by focusing on economy, energy, and national security. And these are things that matter to every American.
You had to sign a pledge saying you'd support the nominee. You call those Clubhouse rules. Donald Trump doesn't seem to take that rule seriously. Should we take that pledge you signed seriously?
Well, you can take my pledge signed seriously. When I say I'm going to do something, I do it. But, for me, I'll be voting for Republican in November of 2024. But we're going to do everything we can every minute of the day to make sure that person is me, because I know when I'm president of the United States, we can take this country in a positive direction. We can have an election where people are actually voting for someone as opposed to against the other party.
Governor Doug Burgum, Republican from North Dakota. We'll watch on Wednesday night. And please stay safe on the trail. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck.
Earlier this summer, I traveled to Fargo, North Dakota, by the way, to sit down for an extensive interview with Governor Burgum, where we talked about a lot of issues under the sun. And if you want to know his stance on many of those issues, check out our interview in full on meetthepress.com. And by the way, Burgum got an unusual endorsement at the Iowa State Fair last week from a Democrat, Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota. Walz said, "I'm not a Republican," he told the New York Times, "and I'm not going to vote in the Republican primary. But if I did, I'd vote for him."
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.